Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
We are learning Mishna Gittin, Perik Vav, Chapter 6, Mishnah Hey, Mishnah 5. And today's Mishnah has been sponsored by the Garland children, L'Zeicha Nishmas, their uncle, Gavriel ben Moshe Nochem. Yishad Neshama Shaban Aliyah.
Amen.
Okay. Ha'omer, one who says, when he says to people, Kisvu get utnu ishti, write a get and give it to my wife. So, what do you think happens then? As the Mishnah is going to say soon, they write the get and they give it to his wife, right? Let's say the only thing he said was to these people, Garshua, divorce her. That's all he said, divorce her. So there again, although there was no explicit expression of writing again and giving it to her, but understandable, if he's telling these people divorce her, that's what he means to say. To write again and deliver it to her. Kisvu Igaris Utnula. Let's say he says to her, write a letter and give it to her. Write a letter,
A love letter.
What kind of letter are we talking about? So here too, the Mishnah, so let me just read the last word, the last phrase. Hare elu yichtavu v'yitnu. In all these cases, the people that he spoke to write the get and they give it. These are expressions that it's understood from the husband that this is what he wants. Write the get and give it to her. So now, when it comes to this last expression of letter, like what connection does letter have to do with a get? But interestingly, the explanation given is a clause in the standard text of a get refers to a get as a letter of abandonment or a letter of leaving. That's what it's referred to in the get itself, in the text of the get. Remember we spoke about the standard text, right? In the standard text, the get is referred to as a gerish shvukin, a letter of leaving, of abandonment. And therefore, when he says letter, it's understood that when he tells these people write her a letter, that it means a letter of divorce. However, says the Mishnah now, if let's say he says, pitruha. Pitruha, they translate her as release her.
Finish.
Or they say parnasua, provide for her, support her. Asula kanimus, do for her as is required by law. Asula karoi, do for her what is fitting. Loy amar klum, he has said nothing in regard to be able to say that he told them to give her a get, to write a get. All these expressions do not definitely mean that are not enough to express that he means that they should write and give a get. So now, what else could they mean? So pitrua, which means release her, could actually mean that what they're saying is release her from her debts. That means if she has any debts, help her out. Pitrua can mean release her in the sense of release her from the marriage, but it can also mean release her from debt. And therefore, we don't know clearly that he's saying give her a get. Parnasua, provide for her, means that again, maybe it just means provide to her, right, provide for her needs, whatever she has needs, food, whatever it is, provide it for her needs. At the end, and now, what could provide her with her needs have to do with the get? So the way they explained it is that what he could have meant was provide her with a divorce to save her from yibum. That's what provider could mean for a get. It could mean that for a get. Provider, because she needs, in order that she shouldn't need yibum, give her a get. She should be free. But also could mean, or it could mean provide her with clothing. So being that we don't know, you can't work with it. That was the case of parnasua, provide for her. Then we have asula kanimus, do for her as required by law. Which law? This could mean write a get for her as the law requires and give it to her, or it could mean provide her with food and clothing as required by law. My law, right? My responsibility as a husband. I'm telling you guys, to do it for me. Take care of that for me. But again, we don't know. And the last one is asula karoi, do for her what is fitting. Again, it could mean fitting for a divorce or fitting for support. So therefore, in all these cases, Lo Yamar Klum, he has not said anything, and they cannot therefore go and write again and give it and give it. Now, what if they did in all these cases? What if they did? So the way they bring down here is, if, however, they do write a get and deliver it against the Mishnah's ruling, its validity is in doubt. since the husband's intentions were unclear. Meaning, it's not like, he didn't say get. We don't know what he said. He could have meant get. He could have meant something else. And therefore, were we to go in and give the get, would be left with a doubt. As such, she must be treated with the stringencies of a married woman and those of a divorcee. She can't live with this man, but she can't marry anybody else until we rectify things. But the point of the Mishnah is that these expressions are not enough to act upon to write and give a get. Next, originally the sages said, "Hayoytze b'kolar, the amar kisvuged leishti." A person is being taken out in chains because he's about to be executed by the government, and he tells people, "Kisvu get for my wife, write a get for my wife," meaning give her a get before I'm killed. Again, to let's say to free her from Yibam. Okay. The problem is though he didn't say give it. All he said was write it. He didn't say give it. Nonetheless, they should write it and give it as well, because we assume that he meant to say give it. He didn't just mean to say like write it and have it ready, but he meant write it and give it. Why didn't he say give it? Because he's not in a very good emotional state right now. He's about to be taken out to be executed. So because of that kind of the fear of being executed, therefore he didn't finish expressing what he meant to say, but we can assume that's what he meant. Now, that was, so again, the person was taken out in chains, and all he says is right, doesn't say give, you give it. Chazru loymar, and then later on they also said, so too someone who goes out to sea or going out in a caravan to cross the desert. If they tell people to write a get, but neglect to say and give it, the agent should write it and give it. Here too we assume that since they are facing a dangerous voyage, when they told people to write a get, they meant to give the get as well, but they forgot because of their anxiety about the voyage. Mm-hmm. So therefore, there too, you give it. However, they bring down here, though, in the notes, in other cases, however, the people told to write a get cannot go ahead and give it to the wife, unless the husband explicitly tells them to do so, as stated in the next Mishnah. If in a regular case, write a get. He never said deliver it, so you can't deliver it. Yeah. But in these cases, we assume that we could assume that this is what he meant, and therefore you can give it too. And then the last thing mentioned in the Mishnah is Rabbi Shimon Shazuri said, Afam Asukin. The same applies to a seriously ill man. Here too we assume that he meant to tell them to give the get, but he forgot because of his anxiety over his illness. Okay? And they bring that here on the bottom, even if it's not life-threatening, however, it's serious, he's seriously ill. So again, he's anxious over his illness, and we assume that when he said right, he meant to say give also. He just because of anxiety, he forgot to say it. Have a wonderful day.
All right. Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you, Rabbi. So when they say